Olá, eu sou o João Vitor Xavier e este é o CNN Esportes S.A. Toda semana um entrevistado especial para falar do mundo dos esportes e do mundo dos negócios. Vou falar com o cara do momento, John Textor, o homem que mudou a história do Botafogo e que ajuda a mudar a história do futebol do Brasil. Vamos conhecer um pouquinho mais da trajetória daquele que eu diria que é o gringo mais querido do Brasil no momento. Vamos lá.
John Textor e Botafogo começaram os primeiros capítulos de sua parceria em janeiro de 2022, quando sócios do clube aprovaram a venda da SAF alvinegra para a Eagle Holdings. Em março de 2022, a venda foi oficializada com aporte mínimo de 400 milhões de reais. O primeiro ano da SAF do Botafogo foi também o da volta à elite do futebol nacional. O Glorioso foi campeão da Série B em 2021 e voltou à primeira divisão ao mesmo tempo em que se adequava ao novo modelo de administração. Mas mesmo em pouco tempo, o clube não só conseguiu se manter na Série A sem sustos, mas foi além. O Botafogo, que estava há 29 anos sem um título de expressão, voltou a brigar pelos principais campeonatos, não só no Brasil. John Textor é o convidado do CNN Esportes S.A. e vai falar sobre a trajetória vitoriosa à frente da SAF do Botafogo, sobre implementação do modelo no Brasil e o que espera para o futuro do clube.
Muito bem, vimos um pouquinho da trajetória do cara do momento. Muito obrigado, prazer recebê-lo aqui na CNN. Quem é John Textor?
You probably asked the most complicated question first. I'm an existentialist. I think people like to say what they are, but that really doesn't matter. I think we're judged by our actions. I think I'm a nice man. I'm a family man. I love people, those that are close to me and those I don't know. I like taking on big projects. I like being involved in transformational moments in history. I think that's the opportunity I was presented with down in Brazil. Just great things happening in Brazil. I wanted to be a part of it. And, well, it's just gone much better than I expected. I'm greatly enriched by the people I've met on this project. And I don't know who I am. I think we're judged by our actions. And I think other people can tell you who I am better than I can.
Você e o Ronaldo Fenômeno, foram os dois primeiros grandes nomes a acreditar nesse momento de transformação do futebol do Brasil. Acreditar no projeto da SAF, acreditar no futebol como negócio. Como é que se deu sua aproximação com o futebol do Brasil e a tomada de decisão de investir no Botafogo?
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's every time my name is mentioned at the same time of Ronaldo, the phenomena, I get very excited because I don't think that should happen. I've been watching him play for so long. He's such a great player, a great man. I was very happy by the coincidence of being able to do this with him first. I would also say that the people that he hired, Gabriel Lima, others at Cruzeiro, we were great friends through the process and we compared notes. We call that a guinea pig when you're in the first test case for something. So we learned a lot about the SAF program together. So I really do appreciate everything he did, that his organization did to help Botafogo do the same thing. Why did I do it? Again, it's transformational. Like, Brazil often criticizes itself for these things that we have wrong in Brazil and doesn't give itself enough credit for these things we're doing right. We are really one of the first countries to take on some of the challenges of corruption and match manipulation. And we're also way ahead of many countries in organizing this SAF program so that the social clubs can have a responsible commercial partner that can take the football clubs forward. And that money can go back into the social clubs, which create incredible programs for people of the community. So I always laugh when I hear people say, oh, Brazil, they've got all these issues, all these problems. Brazil is very forward in its thinking on programs like this, and I was very happy just to be asked to be a part of it. I've often told the story that I wanted to start small. I was looking at these great communities, small clubs, small towns, something I could personally handle, other clubs that were available under the SAF program, And these two guys that found me on LinkedIn, Tyro Aruda and Danilo Caxero, and talked me into looking at Botafogo, I thought it was crazy. Because I remember Cahincha and the glorious and the most traditional, and somehow they were very persuasive young men, and I ended up here. So I'm very happy about that.
Era momento muito difícil do Botafogo, né? O Botafogo é uma glória do futebol brasileiro, um dos maiores clubes da história do Brasil, mas que passava por calvário, por momento muito difícil. O que foi mais difícil nesse processo de reestruturação do Botafogo?
You know, I think I benefited from not having been through those times personally, because the people that love this club the most have also felt the most pain. And I think it's lucky, it's good that I didn't feel that pain. What I saw was a startup business where the social club spins off the football club into the new company. There were a few people that came from the social club to be our first set of employees. But by and large, we had to build all new processes, a new company, new organization. There was no rear view mirror. It's an expression that we like to use around this club a lot. I have no pain from the past. I have no hurt from the past. I saw a blank canvas, and we got to paint the vision of how we connect the greatness of Botafogo from before with a future that could be equally as great. So I didn't feel that pain. Now, I felt that pain last year, you know, when things started to go wrong for the team at the end of the year. I saw how quickly our people began to fall into that doubt and that fear and that anxiety, reconnecting with that pain more than they were seeing the wonderful moment, the future. So I do have a sense for it now, which is giving me a greater responsibility, because I think I get emotional when I say it. I think I'm supposed to erase that pain. And I hope I can.
Podemos dizer, então, que sua opção foi de ter novo Botafogo, independentemente da história bonita do passado e também dos problemas do passado. Quando você chega ao Botafogo, sua mentalidade é, olha, é daqui para frente, é olhar para o futuro.
Well, I think Look, I love the tradition. I love the history. I love all the World Cup players. I love driving by the wall, you know, outside of our home in Rio, and seeing all of the legends. And I think of myself, which one of these players on this team now will end up being on that wall? So I don't see the negative. I don't feel the pain. These expressions that they say, this can only happen to Botafogo. Well, that's normally a negative expression. I see that as a positive.
E o que foi mais difícil nessa reestruturação? A parte mental, recuperar a autoestima do Botafogo, do botafoguense, ou a parte organizacional, de colocar um clube que vinha com problemas financeiros num patamar de organização de time de elite do futebol mundial?
I think injuries to the heart are the most complicated. I think that's been the greatest challenge. Every stadium in Brazil, around the world, when things start to go bad for a team, people start to boo. And then I watch this and I think, I know these people love this club. I know they feel part of the team. If they're part of the team, they need to execute just like the players do, right? You cannot boo to help a player get better. You cannot intimidate, yell. You cannot create anxiety. But I also had to understand that booing, that yelling, that comes from many, many years of pain, right? So I think turning that around, we say that winning championships, that they're made of love. So we have to create a house of love that has to unconditionally love this team. And that's been the toughest, because even the other night against Vitória, a team that we felt we should have done better in that game, our players, as great as they are, we're still hearing those boos. So it doesn't help. It hurts the team. But I understand why the fans do it, because of the pain they've felt. So injuries of the heart can be very complicated, and they can be the toughest to heal. The business is the business, and Tyro and his team, and they're incredible. The people that work in the office, they're so happy, they're so positive. They can't believe they have jobs at this club they love. So it's hard work for them, but it's been the easiest part of this process to see them do so well to create this company.
Seus melhores sonhos, você imaginava que a recuperação do Botafogo seria tão rápido, que o Botafogo chegaria tão rápido às disputas, à busca de títulos que chegou na última semana?
Do you mean recover from the history or recover from last year? I thought we would compete for championships within 5 years. I did not expect to be so close last year. Obviously, I have a very strong opinion about what actually happened last year, and I think it's my job to continue to work to try and improve the game and challenge corruption and do that off the field. But I'm incredibly proud of the players and the staff that they ignore all the stuff that crazy John does, the boss, and they just focus on the mission. They play for the fans, they play for the supporters, they play for themselves as a group. One, I'm amazed that we're competing for championships after only 2.5 years. I'm especially amazed that we recovered so well from last year. That might be the most impressive thing that we've seen, the recovery from last year. But I'm amazed by them that they've done it.
E a gente pode dizer que esse é um caminho sem volta para o Botafogo. A gente sabe que no futebol vai ganhar, vai perder, mas que o Botafogo, a partir de agora, será um clube que estará sempre brigando pelos títulos. O torcedor pode esperar um Botafogo campeão ou pelo menos brigando pelo título sempre daqui para frente?
I never predict the future, but I can say as long as I'm here, under my watch, we will always put the greatest amount of energy and heart and intelligence and resources behind this great club. The great clubs of Brazil should never go down. Like the lower divisions should always be aspiring to be where we are. The Flamengos, the Fluminenses, the Corinthians, the Palmeiras, the great clubs in Brazil. So we need to fully establish that we're one of them forever and into the future. We look up the table, we don't look down.
Você citou 2 vezes até aqui o termo corrupção. Esse é um tema que te incomoda, que você sempre trata. Você já fez acusações sérias, graves a respeito de arbitragem do futebol brasileiro. Como é que você está encarando esse assunto e como é que você vê a sua contribuição nesse debate para o futebol do Brasil?
Well, it bothers me that we can't talk about it openly. I think Brazil should be proud that it's doing something about it. You know, Cajuru and Romário and Senator Portinho, they're one of the few countries in the world that have opened up an investigation that are trying to do something about it. It is a global problem. It's not a Brazilian problem. So corruption in the form of player underperformance is an incredible problem in football, in tennis, in cricket. And there are prosecutions that happen all over the world when this happens. Now new technology allows us to see anomalies in player behavior. So instead of people attacking somebody like me that bring these problems to the forefront, that show how technologies can make this game better, why don't we admit that it's a problem? Doping in cycling, everybody wanted to deny it until Lance Armstrong, the greatest cyclist in the world, suddenly had to admit it. So we have that problem in football. It's a reality. I think it's amazing that people will make big news about a player, an individual player taking a small amount of money to do something he shouldn't, when we have a culture of corruption that surrounds the organizations, federations. We have teams that pay people money to win games, pay people money to lose games. We have betting companies that do the same thing. Now that betting is proliferating even more so with what they call prop bets, where you bet that a player will score or that he won't score or they get a yellow card or they won't get a yellow card. The dangers of corruption, which have always been there for many motives, sporting motives, gambling motives, it's only getting harder to police because of technology is a two-way street, right? It's easier to make these bets now. So I think that executives like me, the people at the Federation, the team owners, we should all be working to solve these problems that we know are there. Because when I see a player run down the field and score an incredible goal, and I see kids crying in the stands out of joy because their idol scored a goal, shouldn't we all know that that was an honest play? That it happened because two teams were fighting at their highest level, trying to win the game, and that nobody, whether it's players or gamblers or referees, we want a pure result, that what we see on the field is the beauty that we know it should be. So corruption does bother me. It's happened in our league for the last few years. It's happened in Greece, in Turkey, in England, in Germany. It happens in the World Cup. It happens in UEFA. So yes, it bothers me, and I'm not going to shut up about it just because people don't want to talk about it. I'm going to try to make the game better.
Apesar de ser um problema mundial, como você citou agora há pouco, você sente que no Brasil é pior, o problema aqui é menor do que lá fora, quando se compara a dificuldade aqui no Brasil para se combater algum tipo de corrupção no futebol, algum tipo de manipulação de resultado aqui, você entende que é um problema maior ou menor do que o que é enfrentado lá fora, onde você também tem clubes?
No, I don't think it's worse here. It's clearly not. In fact, the technology, the methodology, which was developed to help see match manipulation, was developed in Europe, for Europe. Countries all over Europe have the same problem. And the methodology was developed in part through investigations. So they would arrest or interview people that manipulate matches, and they would learn the tricks and the tools of the trade, how they teach a player to turn and run the other way instead of intercepting a ball, how they teach a player, a defender, instead of taking advantage of your angle ahead of the player, maybe you adjust your angle and you make it easier to have a pathway to the goal. So this methodology was developed in Europe, not here, not in Brazil, because there were problems everywhere. And now you have technology that makes it easier to see, computer vision. So these little small changes in behavior can be amplified with computer vision so we can see. Now, what that means is if players and referees know that there's this sort of perfect eye in the sky that sees everything, well, they'll stop doing it. But the one thing that does truly upset me when we brought these ideas to the table in Brazil, the answer is, well, let's suspend this man because he's embarrassing our league. Brazil should not be embarrassed. Brazil's the first country that's doing something about it, right? We're going to fix it here, and we're going to be the great example to the rest of the world, because the rest of the world has the problem just as much as we have it here.
Você citou que as federações, as ligas, elas também têm culpa e têm responsabilidade nisso. Diz que passa por CBF, por UEFA, por ligas mundiais. Como é que é a sua relação hoje com a CBF e qual a sua avaliação do trabalho da CBF hoje?
Yeah, no, I did not say the leagues and the federations are guilty of it. I would say that the leagues and the federations globally are embarrassed about the problem. And since they don't really know what to do about it, often they don't engage the problem directly. The CBF in particular does work with technology companies that help to solve the problem. But I'd like to sort of open up, this portfolio of technologies to include more, so the CBF has more tools to challenge this. There's a company that they use actively that tries to identify manipulated games based on the patterns of betting. Well, that company only sees maybe 20% of the market, because the people that fix games with large amounts of money, that bet significant amounts of money, they don't do it on retail sites like Botano. They do it in Southeast Asia in dark markets, right? So the company that CBF uses isn't enough. That's one of the tools. We need many more tools. I'm very happy that my relationship with the CBF is improving considerably. Edinaldo recently, made some public statements about changes he wants to make to his staff on the assignments of referees. And Edinaldo is engaging in technology. He's engaging these discussions. He's engaged with Botafogo, very productively over the last couple of months. It's a big job. It takes more than just the CBF. I mean, it's a global problem. So, no, I'm happy that the CBF is really starting to do something about it.
Você citou agora há pouco Palmeiras como um grande adversário, citou outros clubes também, mas citou especificamente Palmeiras como um grande adversário. Botafogo e Palmeiras têm tido duelos incríveis nos últimos 2 anos. Queria saber como é que está a sua relação com a Leila, presidente do Palmeiras. Vocês tiveram alguns embates aí nos últimos 2 anos. Como é que está a sua relação com a Leila e como é que você vê o personagem, a figura Leila para o futebol brasileiro, em especial por ser uma mulher, o que não é muito comum nos clubes de futebol?
I mean, obviously, Leila deserves to be seen as much more than a woman. She's a great leader of a great business that happens to be a great football club. And as I understand it, she also is a leader of many other businesses that are good for Brazil. I think I was very emotional, beginning around August last season, when I started seeing anomalies in player behavior and referee behavior, things that were affecting Botafogo. And I will tell you, the research that we've done with the technology, with other forms of evidence, demonstrated that it wasn't just targeting Botafogo. It was happening in other games. And it's been happening in Brazil and many other countries for many years. I was focused on Botafogo. And it was Palmeiras that we were, trying to hold off for the championship. So I understand when I make the comments that I've made, Leila should have been offended by this. If I were her, I would have said, crazy gringo, shut up, right? That her reaction would have been my reaction if I were in her shoes, right? She's defending her institution. She's built a great club, a great coach, great players. Palmeiras is known around the world for quality. So I have no problem with the public policy debate. Sometimes it got emotional, but I'm very happy that she too cares about cleaning up the game. She joined a commission along with Edinaldo and actually has publicly come out against corruption and manipulation. So there was this period of time where the debate seemed to be really between the clubs, but that's all in the past now. Now she's an executive, she runs a club, I do as well, and we all want the game to be better. As far as the rivalry, they don't see us as rivals. We have not been challenging them enough over the years to become a true rival of theirs. I'm enjoying the competition we've been having. It's been good for us. I think they've enjoyed it. And it's just really good for Brazilian football. But my relationship with her is great. She's been terrific lately with Tyro and our management team. I look forward to getting together with her sometime soon.
Vamos voltar a falar do Botafogo e do trabalho que está sendo feito no Botafogo. Muita gente tem elogiado a cultura que você trouxe para o Botafogo, em especial da sua vivência no futebol europeu e da sua vivência como um americano que acompanha de muito perto a trajetória dos esportes americanos. Muitos números, muitos dados, muitas comparações, muita estatística no futebol. Eu conversava recentemente com Rubens Menin e ele fez fortes elogios à estrutura que o Botafogo montou para ter dados, para ter números, para ter comparações, para buscar jogadores no mercado. Queria que você falasse um pouco sobre isso e sobre como o Botafogo está trabalhando e por que tem dado tão certo esse trabalho no Botafogo.
I'm American, but I've never watched what we call soccer in the United States. I've always grown up in Florida watching South America. So I live in South Florida. I'm surrounded by friends that are from Brazil and Colombia and Venezuela, Argentina. So that's the football that I always would enjoy watching. I watch European football as well. And I really, I love it that the people at Atlético Mineiro compliment my scouting department because they know that my top scouting head started with them and he was there first. And so then he came to us. So they know Alessandro very well. They love him, we love him. So I do appreciate the compliment. I think collaboration between our football clubs in different parts of the world is really important. We don't sign a player at any one of our clubs unless the football departments at every one of our clubs would want that player to play for them. And that's very unique. because there are many strong egos in football, and people, a sporting director that says, I'm only going to do it my way, I fire all those people. Like, my job is to force loving collaboration on the people in our football department. And if they don't really care for each other, we get rid of them. So I think that's the culture I brought, because it takes many, many minds to work together in unison to make good decisions. I don't make football decisions. I give our people the courage of their convictions, because I know they're good. I know they're smart. I help them collaborate, and I help them feel confident to make decisions, and we work together as a group to choose our players. But I appreciate that people respect our scouting, because I care about scouting. The people that go to the grass, that watch the games, I go to games. I watch games from the grass. For the last 15 years, I watch hundreds of games a year, and I don't think I'm a football person. But if the owner is doing that, then everybody in the scouting department knows that they need to do that too. So maybe that's the culture I brought.
Botafogo tem hoje o Luiz Henrique, o Igor Jesus e o Alex Telles na seleção brasileira. Tem o Savarino na seleção da Venezuela. Tem o Bastos, zagueiro da seleção de Angola. E tem o Almada, campeão do mundo, baita jogador da seleção argentina. E a maioria desses jogadores chegaram ao Botafogo agora, recentemente. Seria essa mudança fruto desse trabalho de estatística, de números, de scout?
Well, yes, but those are the big names that we brought in the recent windows. But you look at some of the players that are really the core of this team. Junior Santos, we found in the second division in Japan, right? Igor Jesus, more recently, we found him in the Emirates, right? Not every one of these players was purchased for a high value. Thiago Almada, that was obvious. I saw him playing in Atlanta, and he's an electric player. I was contacted by friends at Atletico Madrid who told me they loved the player, but they didn't have a spot for him at that time. So sometimes that collaboration happens between our clubs. Sometimes it's collaborations and friendship with other clubs. That's how I found Thiago. Of course, Luis Enrique. I had a nice trip to Seville in Spain and met with his family. And so everybody comes to the club in different ways. We bought a couple of players for a significant amount of money, Thiago and Luis Enrique, but most of our team was built by good scouting, good decision-making, and players that want to come play here now. People wouldn't say that about Botafogo before. They want to play for this project because they feel the emotion of what we're doing too. So we have many, many players on this team, that were not sort of big purchases. You know, Savarino, Bastos. When we hired Bastos, everybody said, why? Well, now they're like, oh my God, he's injured. What are we going to do without him, right? So I loved Marlon Freitas, right? Had a tough time last year, at the end of last year. And we just stuck with him and believed in him because we knew he was an incredible player. But look at him now. He's the captain. He's our leader. He delivers every locker room into a victorious state of mind. So, yeah, I love every one of these projects on our team because they're all people and they all contribute in their own way. And we found them through a variety of means, not always money. We like the fabric of the family we have in that locker room.
De volta com o CNN Esportes S.A. especial com John Textor, o dono da SAF do Botafogo, levou o Botafogo ao topo da América. Um oferecimento de Gerdau, o futuro se molda. Vamos falar de um outro assunto polêmico, fair play financeiro. Depois que o Botafogo começou a ganhar, muito começou a se falar do fair play financeiro. Você entende que isso é justo? Porque muitos times que ganhavam não falavam de fair play financeiro. Agora que o Botafogo está ganhando, começaram a falar desse fair play financeiro. Como é que você analisa essa situação? Isso é importante para o futebol brasileiro? Não é? Está havendo algum tipo de exagero pelo fato do Botafogo ter se organizado e estar vencendo? De uma maneira geral, como é que você avalia essa questão do fair play financeiro que passou a ser muito comentada após o crescimento do Botafogo?
Obviously, we think it's funny. I mean, we're enjoying the conversation. I'm not too worried about it because if you're going to talk about financial fair play, you should really talk about it accurately. We inherited a club that in 2021 did about $21 million in revenue. We bought it in March of 2022. That year, we did about 30 million US in revenue. In 2024, because we're in December, the year's almost up, we're going to do about 100 million US dollars in revenue. So we've increased revenue by 5 times, which means that our salary level is about 45% of our revenue. Now, in Europe, financial fair play, they want you to spend 75% or less of your revenue. Well, at 45%, we're well below the thresholds of affordability. So they can't talk about financial fair play with us. In terms of buying these players, the reason they're saying this is because we're setting records for nobody's ever paid as much as somebody did for Thiago Almada or Luis Henrique. Well, that's true, but that's only because we're reversing the direction of player migration. Brazil has always been sending its best players away. We see big numbers when Hendrick sells or when, João Gomes sells. We very rarely see a club buying the rights to a player based on their global value, what they would be worth in Europe, and saying, come back and play in Brazil. Well, we spent 25 million US dollars on Thiago Almada. That's not even a large amount by European standards. We spent 20 million, a bit less on Luis Henrique. That's not a large amount in Europe. So are they upset that we value Brazil so much that Brazilian fans deserve to see the best athletes in the world getting on a plane and flying back to South America? I'm paying a small amount of money to buy these young, talented athletes. I know if I pay 20 million for Luis Henrique, I bring him back to Brazil, he gets on the national team, he might be worth 30 or 40. So that's good financial management. That's not violation of financial fair play. Why do Brazilians think that a team should not acquire a top athlete at a European price and bring them back to Brazil to play for Brazilians? That's nonsense. So what are we all saying to each other? That we should have the low budget here and the high budget gets to be for the enjoyment of the people in Europe? I think we should enjoy football here. So financial fair play, we're well within the rules. And when the big clubs start getting beat by the small clubs, well, then they say, well, let's change the rules. Well, that's what I said before. Get used to it. We're the glorious, we're the most traditional, we're here to stay.
Falando de assunto que tem tudo a ver com esse tema do fair play financeiro, o Brasil erra ao não implementar uma liga única e o que falta para que todos os dirigentes consigam sentar numa mesma mesa e criar uma única liga do futebol brasileiro.
Yeah, I think we're making a mistake allowing this time to pass. We were so close to getting something together between Libra and Liga Forte Football. I believe the one league has to happen. I think the federation should be responsible for the national team, for standards and governance in the development of football in the country, the way federations work in other parts of the world. I think the CBF could do very well to strengthen Brazil football in that respect. But I think the operation of the clubs should be left to the family of the clubs. The best model in the world is the Premier League. We can use what they did right and what they did wrong to teach us lessons about how to do it right.
Mas você ainda acredita que é possível que esses 2, 3 grupos se tornem um grupo só?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that there's a lot of conversation that's happening between these groups, between the clubs. And I know the leaders of these other great clubs at Libra, a group that I spend a lot of time in. I know they want it to happen. And certainly the group I'm a part of now, the unified group, we all want it to happen. I think it's going to become one group. And I think it needs to happen within the next 12 months.
Como é que você tem feito para integrar os seus clubes, para que todo mundo fale a mesma língua e que um clube colabore com o outro ao longo dos tempos e com desafios tão diferentes?
Well, the good news is the people in France, for us, speak much better Portuguese than the people in Brazil speak French. So we have a club in France that has respected Brazil for many years. Even the chairman before me, Jean-Michel, had an interest in the Club Resende and the Pele Academy. So the connection between our club in Europe and our club here, predated me. But we're all very integrated, Eagle football, far more than any other multi-club in the world. We're one family.
Agora, apesar de cada clube ser importante, o sentimento que eu tenho aqui no Brasil é que cada dia mais o Botafogo é que toma conta do coração do Textor, viu?
Since you're CNN and people watch this all over the world, no comment. No, how can you say that you love one child less than another? You can't, right? Your relationship with your children might be different, but the love is all the same. I think the reason it seems like I am so much more in love with Botafogo is the people in Brazil.
That's one big father, no?
Yeah, but the people in Brazil know how to show their emotions. They love hard. They hate hard, right? We wear everything, our hearts on our sleeve. Europeans are a little more contained sometimes. So when I'm down here, I'm having fun, I'm out, I'm effusive, and that's why they see that.
One good father have one big heart.
That's true. I have a very big heart. I do have a lot of fun in Brazil. I have a lot of fun with Botafogo. But I know the people in Lyon, they also care very much about their club. And they love it just as much as the people here love Botafogo.
Para fechar nossa entrevista, eu soube que você tem dois gostos muito peculiares. Você adora a cor azul, que dá para ver pelos pés, dá para ver pela camisa, e você adora o skate. É verdade? Como é que é essa história do John Textor, skatista? Soube, inclusive, que você foi campeão de skate, que pagou a faculdade com o skate. Como é que é essa história?
I do have a passion for the color blue. I don't know how that started. I live near the ocean. I see it in my eyes. Everything's for me. I love Alvinegra, though, too. So my
and
skateboarding.
The star, too.
Yeah, I love that. Of course, it's the most beautiful star in the world, the one in our logo. They even vote for this as a great logo in Europe. Skateboarding, for me, was the first thing that I felt really good at. I felt that I was the best in the world at it. I was wrong, but there was a time in my life where I thought I was the best at something. And having confidence in yourself in something can be very empowering. And it helped me get into college. It helped me learn some hard lessons in life. I learned a hard lesson very recently, just Secarema. I've got a lot of metal in my arm now because of that.
Esse incidente...
Yeah.
Esse incidente virou uma camisa, né? Aqui, ó, pedi a nossa produção para mostrar essa camisa aqui de um botafoguense que acompanha essa entrevista.
There's a Band-Aid. There's a Band-Aid on the elbow, which reflects the accident I had in Brazil back in the spring. Você gostou da camisa? Yes. He's too good looking. He's too good looking. But I love the T-shirt.
E você está gostando dessa relação afetuosa com a torcida do Botafogo? Vou pedir até para mostrar aqui algumas imagens de como você foi recebido pela torcida do Botafogo na Argentina. Tem mexido com o seu coração, com a sua vida, essa relação tão afetuosa do torcedor?
Yeah, it's taking me by surprise. I've never had so many full embraces with strong men in my life until I got here in this family, but I love that. There's a gentleman who hugged me a moment ago, right before this interview. It was a long, strong embrace, and I know he's not hugging me, he's hugging his club. The love, I don't know why Botafogo fans love their club so much.
Para fechar, qual é o gosto de ver o Botafogo de novo onde está, ver o Botafogo campeão, ver o Botafogo onde o Botafogo está nesse momento?
Yeah, I'm very happy because I know we have some fans, younger fans. You have to win to get to the younger fans. We have fans of Botafogo that have never seen a championship. And we have older fans that long to see that again. I almost don't know how to handle it, that we have such an opportunity this year. It feels great to be a part of it. I think I get too much credit for it. I think the collective heart of the people behind this club are the reason we're here. But it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. And I hope we can get it done.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you.